Hey, it's Willie Armelini from Flowers and Scents with your industry buzz. Today we're doing a rebroadcast of the recording we did at WUFSA with the 5 women who come from various parts of the industry to tell their story about how they got to where they are. I think you'll find it inspiring. So without further ado, the Women's Day Roundtable.
And good morning. This is Saeed with the I forgot the name of my show, the Bloom Show,
And Willie Armelini from Flowers and Scents.
And this year we have the second annual Women's Day Roundtable. We're super excited to have 5 amazing women in the flower industry that are leaders in our industry. And the purpose for the show is to inspire other women in our industry that are just coming into the industry to see what potential they can grow into. You know, what other avenues you can take and what other opportunities are out there. So please do start chime in, ask questions. This is for the community to answer questions and just to inform. So I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. So we could start with Miss Jeannie Bose.
Hello, I'm Jeannie Bose. I am the general manager and COO of the San Francisco Flower Market, the wholesale flower market in San Francisco.
One of our favorite places.
I also sit on the Cal Flowers board, and I'm the incoming VP on Cal Flowers.
Amazing.
Good.
Wonderful. My name is Corrine Heck. I'm the CEO and founder of Details Flowers Software. We're a software that was created to help event florists manage all of their special events. They send out proposals, they can collect payments, and most recently, they can now send their orders directly to wholesalers and growers. So
We're
happy to be here.
big fan.
I'm Juana La Torre. I am in sales and marketing for Ball SB. We are basically the breeders for a lot of the amazing flowers you guys buy.
Yes, you are.
Nice. Hi, everybody. My name is Jenna Gazerski. I'm a sales manager for North Americas at Rosa Prima. Thank you for having me
Thank you
here.
for being here.
I'm Laura Chanel, founder and managing partner of Fresh Path Marketing. We are a strategic marketing firm for Focus.
Fantastic. So again, happy Women's Day.
Thank you.
Happy Women's Day.
This is our day.
So, yes, it is. You got
It's been a
that
month
energy.
now.
Yes,
You said, you're right. You should get it
we're
done.
gonna party from
So-
morning till night.
So as you can see, the synergy and the energy is awesome. So the way we're going to do this today is we're just going to throw a question out there, and whoever wants to take it, takes it. I might just kind of cut you off at one point because we need to move on to the next question. But feel free to ask questions, and if you even want to ask each other a question, feel free to do that as well. So again, thank you for being here. And then, so let's start. So how did you get to where you are today, and which skills do you attribute to that, and what skills do you recommend to others to fine tune in our industry? Anybody want to take that? I'm gonna see Corrine. Corrine has wide eyes, so I'm throwing you a little buzz,
Okay,
Corrine.
I got started, I guess, right out of college. I
Yes.
did a lot of event preparation for the University of Florida and was also in their student government. And after college, I just didn't want to do anything except for play with flowers. So that's really where my love for the industry began. I was selling flowers, and then I had my child. So I stayed at home for a little while and realized that I really was better suited working than being a full-time mom. And so at that point I started working for an import company out of Miami.
Yeah.
And then fell in love with wedding flowers, and I'm like, I want to have a boutique. So that's pretty much where I started, was like just having an interest in a skill and just refine those skills over time, but saw a need for other event florists that were having really a lot of difficulty planning their events, and found that the way I was doing it was something other people needed. So that's what started me
So
on my
your
journey.
skill was to solve a problem.
Well, yeah, it was I think if you're a florist, you're definitely a problem solver. So these are some of the best people to, if there's something you need to hang and you have no idea how you're going to do it and you only have 15 minutes to do it, they're going to have it done. And it's pretty incredible.
Okay. Anybody else want to? Jenna, how about yourself?
Sure. I got into the industry about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
From cosmetics, and I'd say my skill is determination. I'm extremely determined. I wanted to know everything about the industry. I wanted to know the people, and I wanted to leave a footprint too. I didn't want to just, kind of just be here and anything. That's why I joined the WUFSA committee. That's why the marketing committee. I joined CG Future organization, their committee, to try to help recruit more younger people into our industry. So that's my determination. Just determined to live a good footprint on this industry that is phenomenal.
So that's a trait, I guess, that you would recommend for others to.
Yes, just never give up. Never give up. Don't be threatened to walk into a room full of people that know everything about the industry when you don't. I've learned so much from every conversation, and the people in this industry, man, they're just so kind and loving. That alone is what won me over. I'm not going anywhere. I said it last night. I'm not going anywhere, so you can try and kick me out, but it's not gonna happen. I'm staying. I'm here for the long haul.
I'm not budging. Huh?
Yes. No.
Anybody else want to answer that?
Yeah. Well, I guess for me, it's I like people, working with people, and especially like in the growers area, there is a lot of labor, rural labor, and I just really like that about the industry and how we can create an impact. And my family has been in the flower industry forever, and I was lucky to find a path there and to find something that I really like to do. Because if you don't like what you're doing, or if you don't feel like you're helping or you're improving something, I guess maybe you're not gonna create an impact as you would like. And I was lucky to find that in this industry.
So it's having a purpose in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's like having a purpose, and everyone's purpose can be different.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you like to do or what you feel passionate about, but just having the purpose, your own purpose.
Well, you're like me in a sense. You were born in the flower business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was born in the trucking business, but I thought I was in the
You
flower
were
business.
born in a bed of roses.
And to find your way within the family business is not simple.
No.
But you succeeded in doing so. So congratulations for that.
Try.
Good
A
one,
lot
Art.
of us are born, a lot of the, born into the family business. It's a very family-oriented business, which is, I think, why you feel all the
So
love,
loved and
right?
welcomed,
Because
yes.
it is a family, and so it becomes an extended family. And I think what's really important trait is curiosity. This industry is changing so
Yes.
fast.
Yes.
So technology, everything. I'm sure with growing, it's just, if you're curious, you're going to learn, and if you learn, you're going to grow. And to come in with a little bit of confidence and know that what you're bringing to the table matters. And it's not confidence. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance, right? And so you come in with confidence. And I think women, by and large, need to come in with that sense of confidence, because we're
Very true.
more prone to second guess ourselves. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but I think we are. And so supporting one another and building each other up, and that's what I love about this industry. So many great women.
Yeah.
I haven't met all of you, but I'm just meeting some of you this time. It's my first time at WIFSA. I've been to many other association events. But I'm a little bit unique in the sense that I run a facility that happens to be in the flower industry.
Awesome.
And I came into it because I moved to San Francisco to finish up college and took a job in the property management office and just kind of fell in love with the people, and then of course the flowers, because you take it for granted every day. You're surrounded by all of it, but it's an amazing group of it is a lot of family-owned businesses, but a lot of really supportive people. I think that is unique. I've worked in a lot of other industries in my career, and I seem to always come back to the flowers. So
And I think you're underselling yourself, because you don't just run a facility, you help an entire industry in San Francisco, which is amazing. And it's a testament to what you did during COVID as well.
yeah, we did. We have quite an active community and a really supportive city and a supportive industry. So we're fortunate that way. But it was challenging, I'll say. COVID, like we had to restructure everything. And even when I got the green light to open the facility, there were no guidelines on how we were going to do this and how do you keep people safe.
Yeah.
And so we really had to think it through from like coming into the market, what the buyer was going to do. How do we kind of herd the kittens around and get everybody off doing what they need to do? But it also pulled our market together, I think, very strongly during that time.
So Corinne, I know you're going to say something, but I want to say something real quick. Randy Scarpa is saying, congratulations, Corinne. Excuse me. Long night last night. Excuse me. Congratulations, Corinne, on making it to the round table. You have come a long way to go, and happy Women's Day to you and other ladies in the event.
That's nice.
That is amazing. And he really was the first person that I was introduced to the industry on years ago, about 20 years ago. I started working for him, and it was very interesting to walk in and see the massive coolers in Miami and all the flowers. Like, I had no idea how big it was until I came to Miami and started brokering and selling boxes. And it kind of opened my eyes, but identifying a lot of the pain points that even I observed as a newbie coming in, and I just kept reinforcing that. So thanks, Randy.
So let's go on to the second question. On hard days, what motivates you to get up and start your day? Cup of coffee or something else?
I would say that people the people that I work with and the people that work for me, to make sure we've had a battle to keep our flower market alive in San Francisco. And to me, it was twofold. It was the generations that had put the sweat equity into that market that I knew when I was younger, and then the folks that have worked in that market for years. And if that market went away, what do they do? Where do they go? So it's definitely the people in the industry that keep me going.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's the people. But I want to add also, it's sometimes like, I think there's a lot of pressure in the business world on like always being motivated, always doing your best. And I think it's okay to also have those days where you're not as motivated, and don't feel pressure to always feel that motivation. Like, it's okay to have those days and maybe take it easy if you can, and just
It's okay to be
accept
human.
it. Yeah.
To have a moment.
It's okay to accept it. There doesn't need to be too much pressure on it.
What gets me out of bed in the morning? My 2-year-old. No, I just love life. I am probably that one person that you'll hate on vacation because I'm up at 5 in the morning. I'm like, let's go. I'm so excited. I've got my camera, got this, I got the whole plan. And people are like, man, you're too
I
much.
haven't
Just
even
let
had
me
coffee
be.
yet.
Exactly. I just wake up happy for life. Just to be alive is already a gift in itself. So, and then from there, it just starts the people, the connections, the excitement. And the last 3 years, every day is something different. You know, you've got an obstacle that you have to turn into an opportunity. So it's like you just get motivated by all this that's going on. And I love that. I love the fast pace of everything.
Yeah, totally agree. No, for me, it's the people, and it's an opportunity to just to interact and solve a puzzle. I love puzzles, right? And I think that every day when you come to work, there's a piece that you got to find where it fits. And I love that. I love the challenge. I love the phone rings and you don't know what's going to be on the other end. Right?
Yeah.
And so that is what, that's just, I would hate for every single day to be like Groundhog's Day, right?
Yeah.
There are no Groundhog's Day in Florida.
Certainly not.
Well, it starts off kind of maybe the same, but you really never know what the day is
5
going to
minutes
throw
into
at
it.
you.
Yeah, you
So
hope.
it's like maybe it's a little bit of that, but I'm a list maker and I love crossing off like my
Yes.
to-do list,
Yes.
and I think that's
That's
a great. Well, and I think that you'll find that most women are like, I think that we're the glue that really keeps things together, and just having that direction and plan. But I love having a goal and reaching it, but then there's always a new goal and there's new challenges, and so kind of directing everybody on my team to like, how are you going to step up or contribute, and realizing I can't do it all, so I have to really have a lot of faith and that they're going to execute it the way that we want it done. But
Yes, that's hard.
So do you wake up every morning and make a list?
I don't make that. I maybe make a mental list in my head, but yeah, I have a list every day of just the talking points, because I think also communication has been really a great, here we are communicating about what we think, but I think that having a place to let that energy out, or who we met, or what maybe we could do next is a big part of my day.
Yeah, no, I think it's right. Women do make lists.
I do it the night
Shopping
before.
list.
Right,
Yeah,
early.
I
Starts
do
with
it
the
the
grocery
night
list,
before.
right?
I'm like,
It's
I'm
just
leaving
what we do.
My wife makes one for me every morning.
She made one for her, and she made one for
As
you.
well. This is what you're going to do today. Okay.
Yeah, the same.
We need that. Hey, I'll ask the next question, and it was sort of like, who's your mentor? Was there somebody who sort of a guiding light that said, pointed you in the right direction or gave you some good advice?
I would say my mother told me at an early age, you're going to work hard your whole life. But I did learn a lot from her. She was a very strong single mom. And I, came up in the 80s and we just went to work and you took the jobs that you were offered. It was a different work environment at the time, but I've met a lot of really wonderful people. I would say to the younger generation, you can learn something from everybody. Even people you don't realize, the folks that kind of make our world run have a lot to offer too. Just anybody. But I've learned a lot over the years.
Yeah, I have to agree. I can't think of just one mentor. I think I've had many different aspects of my life. So I have, of course, my dad involved, who knows a lot about cut flowers, has been in the industry for a very long time, and I've learned a lot from him. Annabelle is an amazing leader.
Wow.
Yeah, she's an amazing leader. I've learned so much for the short moments that we work together. But I've had many more in the past, so I don't think it's just one mentor, but you find different people.
Different
that
stages
just-
of your
yeah,
life, different people
exactly.
step in.
Exactly.
I would love to honor my father here too. I love Joaquin, but my dad, he passed away about 10 years ago, and he worked in the industry in Michigan. They had nurseries, and actually they sold to a lot of people. But he was a disabled veteran, so when I was 4, he could no longer walk. And so I think growing up and seeing someone with those kind of challenges sets you up in a different way, because you look at, well, what would he do if he would run or jump or do everything. So I always start each day thinking about my dad and how I can honor him.
Thank you for sharing.
And doing those things that some people just can't. So
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that so much.
yeah.
So what was when going into business and getting to the positions that you're at, what was your aha moment? Like, let's do this, because it's gonna be scary for everybody, right? Even to take a role as a leader like yourself. You came into sales and said, I want this role, and as yourself as well, to run an entire, institution or facility as well. What was that aha moment that said, I'm where I want to be and I want to make sure to stay here and continue to grow?
I've had many, but the most recent one was definitely when the lockdown came. It was probably one of the saddest days I've ever had. We had to dump close to $1 million worth of product in 2 days to empty out the facility. But then I remember I was marketing chair on Cal Flowers, and I had this call set for Monday morning, and I was taking a shower going, what are we going to market? Like there's nothing. Everyone is just completely, still in shock. And then we got on that call, and Pat Dawson was like, Dutch Flower Line is doing it. He's online. We're gonna try to open up our airport facility. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna reach out to the city and see if we can get the state to ease up the health order. And what I found out was it wasn't the state that had to loosen up. It was the city of San Francisco had to loosen the health order. So my aha in all of that was how crucial every segment of this industry is to each other. Because without the wholesale markets being open, even the large growers who offload most of it, the mass market had all the toilet paper and food frenzy going on. And so those buyers were directed to food. So the growers weren't even having success at the supermarket. So it was really a struggle of, how do we open up, the pipelines again. So it really, for me, shined a spotlight that I think that there is a place for everybody in this industry. I think we are all reliant on each other. Every piece of the pipe has to function right.
How about yourself, Corinne? You're a startup in a sense, and I'm inspired by you. I would consider you a
you.
paha in the tech industry. So
That's
really,
big shoes to fill.
yeah. But you 10 years ago you were doing this, right?
Yeah,
So, so
I
it's
had a
inspiring.
few aha moments. I will have to say, when I was working back with the import companies and selling those boxes of flowers, my salary really depended on my sales. We're all salespeople, and I had a base, but if I had these sales, I made a great percentage of that. And I always was like, gosh, why didn't my buyers buy the colors? And I've maybe said this many times, but it was like, if they bought yellow because they spec'd on yellow, I was supposed to sell these yellow flowers. Well, guess what? You can't sell a yellow flower to someone looking for purple.
Yep.
So if I'm always mad at my buyers, like, why didn't you buy on purple? Why didn't you know everybody and their brother was going to ask for purple roses? And he's like, well, no one knows. So it really stuck with me. And then I transitioned into my wedding business. And it went a few years where I really struggled in that business. I kept looking for a solution to help me. And I realized I needed to use my skill in Excel to mastermind and kind of come up with my order each week. And, I would meet with a bride in January, but maybe the wedding wasn't till October. But I knew exactly what flowers I was going to need in January. And I was like, I just solved the problem that I had on the other side. If I can get more florists to use a system, then we can provide this information to the wholesalers and growers and give them that time that they need. And if they're going to spec on maybe something, at least spec on the color that is the right color. Like, if everybody's looking for, blue something, like white, you definitely don't bring in white, right? So of course you always need white. But that was really a big moment, and the idea would not leave my mind for 10 years. Like, I had this idea for 10 years before I took action, because I just kept waiting for someone else to do it. And it became apparent to me that no one else had identified that this was the big problem solver.
Yep.
So I felt a lot of responsibility to give it to the industry. So I think we've done that, and we're learning a lot every day, but that aha moment followed me around like a nightmare almost. Like, it was just there, like in the back of my head every day. So
Details was built on Excel?
Originally it was, but try to teach Excel to someone who deletes your calculation, and all of a sudden you're really ticked off for the day. Not only do you have that. But Excel didn't have a database infrastructure where you could go back and pull other information. So you're constantly reinventing the wheel, and it needed to live where it could pull some other things. But did I know how to write that kind of code?
Nope.
No. So I had to find people to help me achieve it. And it was a struggle. I'll be honest. It was very hard.
But you did it.
But I did. And it's really gratifying now to follow through on something, because I would have always lived with the what ifs.
Exactly. And the obstacle you didn't know, but you weren't intimidated. And you had the courage to continue to put yourself around people that knew, because you know that you had a necessity.
Well, and keeping educated and leaning on the rest of the people in my ecosystem, and where we're from, we're based in Volusia County, and that's where all the greenery is grown and exported and so forth. And so there was just, even right in my backyard,
it was there.
God placed me in the right place at the right time with the right institution. So I think it was a long process, but that drive and that passion, I think, shines through. So I'm happy to be here. This is a dream come true.
We're happy for you to be here too.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're happy. How about yourself? What was your aha moment?
My aha moments, to be honest, was last year. WUFSA is after what we thought the world crashed, right? And to come back and to see the resilience of the industry and the stories. I don't know how many people got to attend all the speakers, but it was just incredible to hear how creative the minds of people in this industry, and the things that they came up with to survive and to continue to have this industry keep going. I mean, there's so many people involved and all these moving parts to keep going. So that, for me, that was that. I have goosebumps just talking about it. Just like seeing everybody hug again, and the hugs were tighter than before. Before it was like, hey, high five, nice to see you, this and that. Last year was different. You could feel that energy. It was just so incredible. No.
Yeah.
It makes my voice shake. It was so emotional, and I've never seen an industry like this.
Anybody else?
I didn't have an aha moment. I wish I had some of these aha moments like you great ladies do. Growing up in the industry, it was just, I just knew. It was just one of those things that I loved. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I had my first real job, I guess, at 16. I wasn't allowed to work at the mall because what I really wanted to do was work at Music Land, right? But that wasn't an option. And so our father had us run a small business. And so that was how I learned everything from taking an order to collecting for an order. Yeah, and you're going up against, the time he was ancient, he was probably in his 50s. The retailer wouldn't pay his bill. And I had to learn how to
Coercing
collect.
that.
Right, exactly. And I'm 16 years old.
Mm.
And I had to learn how to, balance a checkbook, run a business bank account, and do all those kinds of things. And I knew right then and there that this was, I don't want to do anything else, right? So whatever it took Red Kennecott gave me my first job out of college. And what a wonderful man. Talk about a mentor. Kind and generous with his spirit and his encouragement. And so there's so many like that all along the way. And Shirley Lyons, what a phenomenal woman, she is, and how she encourages young women. And so I went from knowing this is what I always wanted to do to how do I help other women learn that this is what they want to do, right? And be successful at it.
I think for me it was very similar, like those people, because I did have some jobs before coming into the flower industry, and at some point I worked for a big multinational consumer goods products company, and it was like I was in sales and I had to sell, and that was basically my job and what they measured me by. And I remember when I started in Ball and I worked in Chicago for a while, and it was not just that, it was also like doing things right. And they truly cared about that. And I found a lot of people like that in the industry, and I felt really good doing it. And I think that was for me like my aha moment. Like, oh, this is not only just selling
It's not
no
just a
matter.
job,
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's more purpose, I guess, again, in the job.
Will you allow me to go off script a moment?
Of course.
Something occurred to me as I'm sitting here listening to this. Let's see if I can phrase this. Is this a male-dominated industry?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And do you feel resistance in that at all? Is there?
Oh, I can speak to that. Like, I feel like when I first came 5 years ago, I felt like I was the only woman in the room. Actually, it was like, it's very intimidating as a woman to walk into a room where guys are all fist bumping each other and they all have these relationships. And here's, me, this young woman coming into it's very intimidating to walk in. But, when you have passion, you are just going to peddle your product as a salesperson wherever you go. So I think maybe it was like, it was just very intimidating, but also that I didn't think that they all knew what I knew. And I was bringing a different energy of some some observations.
Right.
And a lot of times I think they think, okay, we've done it this way for 50 years and this is the way it's going to be. And when you so it's like, I'm going to come in, I'm like going to knock down every door. Like, no, let me in.
I remember the first time you walked into, we were at Congressional Action Days at a meeting, and you walked in and made a presentation. And I watched you walk in so confidently, and you shared information, technology information that, to your point, is a reasonable legacy group in that room. And the puzzled look on the people's faces, and when you left, I'm like, I love that girl. I don't know that girl, but she has confidence. She's bringing something fresh and new, and she's not afraid to share it, and she doesn't care about all the blank stares she's getting. She's just rocking it.
And the thing about that is every time I've ever pitched, because I realized if you're going to try to raise money, you have to pitch to a bunch of men in suits. And guess what? They don't think flowers are great. They don't understand what I know. So I think I had a lot of preparation on having some business people that were outside of the industry. So I think that skill allowed me to make that. And, I was knocking my knees together the whole time. So I'm glad I didn't let you
would
know.
not have known that. No. Yep, you
Yeah.
did a great job.
But I was invited, and I thought this is my one shot. So I was singing that Eminem song in the back of my head. You know, you only got one shot. You got to make
Michael
your.
Phelps.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It is a male-dominated industry, but a lot of them are. Even tech is.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly is.
And I'm in a unique position because in my market, you know, I'm the manager, and so culturally, I have a lot of people in my buildings that don't like listening to a woman, but that's their problem. It's not mine. And so I've just never. I don't ever think of myself as I can't do that because I'm a woman, or you know, that's not available to me as a woman. I just do what I do, and I won't change the mind of a man who's extremely sexist, but that's not my problem, that's his.
I never really felt that. When I got to Rosa Prima, most of our executive leadership board is women, are women. So, and they're all mothers. They all have multiple kids. And walking into that, I never, like my first show, yeah, it was a little bit intimidating. There's a whole bunch of dudes sitting around, you know, and everybody's like loving life with a drink in their hand. Yeah, it was a little bit intimidating, but knowing that I work for a company that really supports women's growth, I already came like empowered, like we're making this happen. Like I didn't, but I'm also that type of person. I don't maybe get as intimidated as other people do. So, but I never felt that. And I actually thank the ladies last night for paving the way for somebody like me who came in and didn't really feel that way, how some others felt before. So
There have been some really strong women in our industry along the way that have paved the road for all of us, right? I look back and, you know, I could name several amazing women, and I think that's what we all want to be. We all want to be that, we want to build on that foundation for, you know, the next young generation that's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to say, when I brought my husband along with me to these conferences, there were a lot of moments where there were a lot of gentlemen of companies I wanted to speak to. And it wasn't until I had a man that they
Could
even
relate to, or
yeah, well, I guess they just felt it would kind of bridge the gap, or maybe I think there was a lot of cultural differences, especially in South America, where they don't necessarily want to talk to a woman as much as they might want to talk to a man. So I feel like every interaction I have now, they know me, and it's making that difference. But I do think that it was great to have, you know, my mascot, my Florida man, by my
That's
side.
a really good point, because the company that I was with prior to Fresh Path, there was a lot of entertaining, you know, late at night. And I remember I took, Kelvin Fry was my director of sales, and I said, Kel, you know, when we're going out, I know I can't go out and go have drinks with a lot of the, you know, male customers that we had. That's not really gonna look great, right? So you know, you need a wingman, and it's kind of sad, but I didn't golf, I didn't drink bourbon.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna stay out till 1 or 2 in the morning and, you know, pick up the tab for everybody at the bar, you know, but Kelvin, you know, did, and so I had a wingman. It's important.
I had a wingman too, actually, now that I think about it. Alex from Comet Salesman, he kind of took me in when I first
he's
got
a
in.
great
Alex is
guy.
awesome.
Yeah, he actually did, and you know, he won't admit it. He says I'm like top 600, but we all know it's top 6. But yeah, he was the one who introduced me to every single person that was around that was of essence that I needed to meet in order to feel comfortable. He did that for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say that I think, so I have a 21-year-old son, and I think all of the moms on this panel, our kids have grown up seeing women be professionals. So it kind of will just naturally happen for their generation too, that there won't be this stigma that women can't be leaders, that can't be, you know, they see working moms, they see moms juggling a lot of responsibilities at home and responsibilities at work.
Yeah.
But I think that the legacy, because it's such a family-based industry, there's that history of the way it's been. So I do think that the younger generation, it's going to be more normal. But I think over the last, 10 years, there's been a nice change that incorporate more women.
And
I agree. I think there's been a change. I feel more people are open, but it still happens. And I was thinking as you were talking, like sometimes I go to a meeting and I work with my cousin, and he sits next to me, and you can see the guys just looking at him, and they don't look at me. And sometimes like it's more of my responsibility, whatever we're doing, and I'm talking, and I'm like, hey. Come here.
Last
Introduce
night.
her to Mimi.
Well, I was gonna say
We
last
need to
night-
introduce her to
last
Mimi.
night at our
Oh,
gathering,
Mimi's amazing.
She's
Such
amazing.
great energy.
The best stories.
about how she, I was like, what's the convention?
She told me the story. Yes.
Yeah, and she
Yes.
stood up and they said, anybody else want to introduce themselves? And she said, hi, I'm Mimi from Chrysler, and I've met all of you before.
About
None of
40
you-
times.
About 40 times, but none of
Yes.
you remember me.
Yeah, that's
Because she
very
said every
true.
time they would come up to her and they say, hi, it's nice to meet you. And she's like, man, I met you like 20 times already.
Yeah.
This is so not fair. So
Yeah.
she's like, my boss was fuming. She's like, I thought my boss was like,
And- it-
and she was just like, no, we've all met. And I like to be acknowledged.
That's
So
right.
I think you
Yes.
really need to meet Mimi because she will teach you how to
Oh, Mimi.
get their attention.
So Mimi reached out to me for the after party, and she said, "How can I help you?" And then yesterday she showed up and ran the pool table tournament, and she just goes. So I'm so impressed by
She
her.
was with us.
She was a little
We
late
kept her,
getting
yeah, we
there.
kept her
We
with
talked her
us.
into staying at.
And
15
she almost didn't get the gift cards to you guys either.
So no, but she was awesome, man, and she was so appreciated, not
I would love to
expected.
mention one more thing is that we have to remember too that most of the florists working with the flowers are women.
Yeah.
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 And so it's kind of funny to me that the wholesale industry, from my perspective or observation, was like all guys, but the people that were selling these events or the wedding specifically, because that's the industry I know, were women. So it's like you needed us.
Is by and large women, right?
And women buy differently. They want service differently than men. That's very true. When I started working in the flower market in San Francisco, the florists, the brick and mortar, were still family-owned businesses, and the buyer that typically within the family that came to market was male. And so slowly over time, there's all these young moms or young women that are buying, and even I can see them juggling babies running through my market. I was like, God, I wish I had a daycare room where they could just dump them and just do what they do, get them and go home. But
I consult for a company, and we rebranded them and made everything pink and bright colors, and they said it was too feminine. And I said, that's your market, that's what I'm speaking to. I do want to mention something. So one other person that I wish would be here is Monet from Cal Flowers. She is amazing. But she wanted to say very inspirational to see these 5 women and hear their stories. Very proud, great leaders in the industry. So
well, and I'll say something about Monet because she's worked for Cal Flowers for years, and she is definitely the glue that keeps that association running. She knows everybody. She is very detail oriented. So hats off to you, Monet, if you're watching.
And one thing to say about Monet is that you could hear her warmth and love and care for the industry and people through her emails, and that's rare. So she's won me over.
Emails can be so black and white.
Oh man! And
I
so-
have to tone down my emojis sometimes. I'm like, oh, me too girly.
If it's any
You just need
cons-
to be who you are.
No, for sure. But I'm like, will they like this? The two dancing.
Were you gonna?
If it's any consolation, listen, if you're not confident in this business, whether you're male, female, or in between, you're not going to get very far, because I can share with you, just as selling flowers and scents, going around, knocking on doors, going to booths, I had the same challenge, because a bunch of men standing around and don't particularly want to see like they want to talk to anybody, and you have to go up and sort of knock on their back and yo. And sometimes I walk by because I don't want to deal with those. I'll go to the next one where, so we find our sweet spots, but it's not unique to women. I don't think you have to, as a man, I'm intimidated by going in some cases. I've gotten over it, But
Yeah, you do have to put yourself out there.
you got
No matter what you
You
do.
certainly do.
Yeah.
You certainly do. And so our next question is, what advice would you, and I guess it's a nice segue, is what advice would you give to young women entering this profession, this industry today?
I would say not even just this industry, but any industry. I think we've all moved into this digital age now where probably 90% of a prospective employer is going to try to look at your social media and see what your brand is. And if your brand is just hanging out
Great
in
advice.
bikinis and all that stuff, it's like, you know, you may be judged a little differently than, you know, what you want to put out in the world. So I would say make sure you control your own story, your own content, and if people put barriers up, know there's a strategy around it.
That's a great advice because it's a real thing. You know, it's very current. How about yourself, Corey?
Oh my gosh. The advice I would give to someone is it's never as big as you think it is. Like when I looked at all those boxes of flowers, I thought this is a ginormous industry. Oh my gosh. But when you get here, it's much smaller. Like everyone knows each other. So we might be spread out all over the country. So it's a very, you know, don't make enemies with anybody. Be open, be friendly. Like it's a small group of people, but just know, like, don't burn your bridges or, I don't know. Just, I think attitude is everything. And I think that you have to have a good attitude, whether it goes your way or not. And, you know, it's just, people will remember. So
Stay positive.
yeah.
I would tell them to just find what they like to do and go for it with confidence. It doesn't matter if it's in finance or it's in design or whatever. It doesn't matter if you're sitting with 10 men. Like, just if you found what you really like, it doesn't matter. Just go in, just do it, and do it with confidence. I think you'll do fine.
I would say believe in yourself and never give up. That's been my
Sure,
motto, and I think it's very important because a lot of times, like Corinne said, she had this idea for floating around for 10 years. And imagine if somebody actually had that idea before her and had opened that company, like, wouldn't you shoot yourself in the foot for the next 20, 30, 40 years? Like, man, so just don't give up and shoot for the stars and be creative. There's nothing that this industry is going to call you. I mean, we're all crazy a little bit, you know, but nobody's going to say you're too crazy. Yeah,
We're all crazy a little bit.
Kate said last night, you know, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we scrap it. So that's my advice.
I would agree with absolutely everything that these ladies have said, but my last piece then would be, don't wait to be asked. Just jump in, dive in, volunteer, get involved, and don't sit on the sidelines because it's so much fun when you get into the deep end with no strings. It's so much fun.
We had Molly Mullins on just a couple minutes ago, and she had mentioned about the women's group. And I see you guys kind of talk about it a little. Can you tell us a little bit about that? We weren't aware, and how, and maybe, you know, how can women get involved in that as well? It would be great to know.
It is absolutely brand new. I'm not even sure it's 24 hours old. We first met last night.
24 hours old.
24 hours old.
So that's why you don't know about it. It's 24 hours old.
I know. So it sort of became official last night. We're calling it Women Who Flourish with an EU.
Flourish. Get it? Flourish.
Yeah, exactly. We kicked it off with, because it was Flora and the Paris, we kicked it off with a little champagne. And it's about, you know what I'm going to do, Sagita? I'm going to give you a list of our values, our why, and maybe you can put that out. We're going to be putting together a Facebook group. We're going to be putting together, you know, opportunities. We'll be sending out our little prospectus. I don't know. It's so darn new, and it's so much fun. Last night we had about 20 women sitting on the floor, just
Shoes off,
just talking about the industry, about what we love, what we'd like to see change, how we got here, who our mentors were, what they did for each one of us as we go. And the outpouring of emotion, it was almost like folks were like, oh, I get to share all of this that's so important to me and mattered. And there were women in said, I want to tell you, I haven't met you or I haven't talked to you, but I've watched you, and hearing that from all these women that, you know,
Incredible.
you didn't exactly. And
Congratulations.
there's so much that we can do. It's not an exclusive thing. It's not like men can't come. I talked to a couple of guys yesterday. I'm not invited.
You can serve drinks.
There you
You're
go.
invited. You can serve drinks.
Pour champagne.
Exactly. It's not about that. It's about being collaborative, which I know is really near and dear to your heart.
Yes.
It's about being collaborative. It's about being supportive. It's about mentoring and helping each other find our right path and be strong and confident in doing so, and about being successful. It's all the positives.
Yeah.
It's nothing negative. So like I said, it's not about being exclusive. Everyone, you know, everyone's welcome.
And
so-
how can people get more involved?
Well, again, that's we're gonna
It's
maybe
coming,
count
it's
on
coming.
you, because
Okay.
I don't want to give out information that's not set in stone or that we haven't all, you know, agreed upon or figured out. So I will,
We're here to
once we
help.
get all of
Yes.
our little channels in place, and we will, trust me, we will get you information to get it out there,
Fantastic.
because we want.
Just to give you an idea, it was supposed to be an hour session.
Okay.
We made it 3 hours. This is how great it was. It was, I mean, we cried, we laughed, we hugged, it was just, I left feeling so great, you know? I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I had adrenaline running. I was like up until midnight. I couldn't even go to sleep. I was so excited about this whole thing. It was very empowering, very empowering.
That's awesome that you're doing that.
Giving me goosebumps. listening to it.
Congratulations.
Do you want to come to the next one and serve
Some
drinks?
drinks.
Hey, if you play your harmonica there.
I've had to. I'll provide music for you.
Yeah, there you go.
He's music, he's the cameraman, and the bartender. I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Well,
you're in, you're in.
great. Do you have a
I
question?
have one question, which is probably a bit redundant to the extent, or it's a given. How much does flowers play in their role? I mean, in your role as women in this business, how much do the flowers play? Did you join the business because you like flowers? Or did flowers just happen to be the product?
So I just kind of fell into the flower industry, but it's ironic because I grew up born and raised in San Diego. And when we would go to Disneyland as a kid, you'd go up Interstate 5 and it was nothing but flower fields at
Sure.
the time. So I grew up in a state where ag is still very important in job creation. So I'm just happy that I fell into an industry that the product does so many things for people that we really need to educate right now, especially because mental health is such a key issue, and flowers really do give people a release or put energy in a room that can brighten or bring something alive. You can put a different variety in and it changes the whole room. So I'm just fortunate that I fell into this industry because I love the product, but I love the people too.
I will say when I was at school at the University of Florida, I was put on a lot of events for them. And we also brought in a lot of we brought in Senator Bob Dole. We brought in different dignitaries that were just, would come to speak. But at every event that we would host, they always had beautiful flowers. And I was like, I wanted to be where the VIPs were. If this is where they were, and I'm like, I fell into flowers because at any important event. And so I wanted to get closer to those people, but I also loved just the happy experience because people on their wedding day are generally, it's the best day of their life. And I wanted to take part in that experience. And I knew that the service level they were looking for was something that I could make that experience elevated for them. So that's why I fell in love with flowers.
Cool.
I think for me, it definitely played a role. My job, I always think my job is amazing. I go to the fields and I see what the breeders are working on, and I get to see all these new different flowers, different colors, all the innovations, and I get to kind of pick what we're going to sell next year, and that is amazing. And I am I think for my personality, I really need to do something that I like and that I feel passionate about, and I wouldn't be able to do a job just to do it, just to have a job. And going to the fields and seeing the product, I think just makes it a lot of
fun.
Yeah.
Great.
For me, if I wasn't looking for a job in the floral industry, it was a sales job, and at first it was product. Then after that followed a trip to the Rosa Prima farm in Ecuador, where I saw 1,500 people about, all happy, singing, packing everything by hand. They were
Mostly
so
women.
happy to do it, mostly women. And that was like a moment like, wow, this is incredible. Like what it takes a village, literally. And then realizing what flowers do on the other end when the consumer gets them, that's when I had my aha moment to where this is going to be a career. This is not just going to be another job. This is where I decided that I'm going to make it my life. And that's when I decided I want to live a footprint on the industry.
I grew up on the hard goods side, so
We
we manufactured
flowers
and
somewhere.
you have
Yeah.
to sold the vessels that made the flowers, allowed you to focus on the flowers, right? So I think that flowers were secondary for me, but the people, it's just the industry. I just love all of the people. I can't imagine doing anything else. It's in my blood, and flowers are the icing on the cake.
Certainly is. Certainly is. So I want to give another shout out to Monet. So excited about the women's group. Need more of this for sure. And I'm pretty sure Monet could help you get the word out as well. So you have an advocate for you there.
Excellent.
Thank you, Monet. And then before she said, oh, so sweet, she said, "Oh, you are making me cry."
That's what we live for.
That's what we do best.
Yeah, tears of joy, my dear, tears of joy.
Tears of
Yeah,
joy. And then I guess we'll go to the final question. What is the best advice? Actually, no, let's go to the question before the final, right? How do you balance your career, personal life, and passions? And is there such a thing as balance?
Not for me.
And I think it's a great question during COVID, right? Because our lifestyles have changed and our work balance has completely changed. Virtual has taken us working 24 hours a day almost, right? So how do you balance that?
Well, and COVID, I've talked to a number of women, COVID got us off the gerbil wheel, right? COVID
Yeah, a
made,
little bit.
none of us would have stopped, right? Because just what you do, right? But COVID forced us all to stop, and at that point in time, we took stock of what we were doing, how we were spending our time, what. I think that as everyone in every industry, COVID got them off the gerbil wheel. But work-life balance for women, we've always had so many things to juggle, right? And so many people that needed our time. And I think that's something that as women, when we support each other, when you work for a woman, she understands that. And she asks you to give work-life balance. She says, are you taking enough time for yourself? Are you doing what you need to do? Are you taking care of your kids?
Very important.
And and it's not, I'm not bashing men, but I don't think because they don't have that innate nurturing, part, they don't ask that. If you're not working 24/7 or I can't see you working, then you're not working. And I think that has gone away with COVID, right? We've all realized that you don't have to be that way, and women can we support one another with all the other aspects of our life and not just the 9 to 5, which isn't 9 to 5 here. It's more like 3 a.m. to
Yeah, right.
yeah, 6 p.m. Right? They're just really super long days. So there's not a work-life balance unless you take the time to create one and have enough respect for yourself to create one.
Yeah, planning is key.
Checklist, like you said earlier.
Yeah, well, I plan into my day, like a yoga class.
Love
make
that.
me do
All
things.
your improvements,
Yes.
following, loving.
But it's really like the yoga teaches you a lot about, it takes strength, it takes flexibility, it takes balance, it takes, composure. You have to really be thinking, and you kind of let everything else in the world go during that 1 hour of you just trying to do all the movements and positions. So for me, that's what I do. But I also like to schedule now. Before when I was working so hard, I didn't take vacations as often, but we're trying to work that in because we don't want to look back and say, wow, we never took that trip we wanted to go on. So I try to make sure that everyone on my team takes that designated time.
But you're a better you when you do that, right?
Most definitely.
So you
for
come to
sure.
the table stronger when you do that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's also not a perfect recipe for everyone. Each
Yes.
person has to find like their own way. There's people who are a morning person, so you better wake up early. There's
Right.
people who are more of a late night person. And for example, for me, I run and I love running, and there's no way I can get that out of my life. I need to do it at some point in the day. So that's a priority for me. For some people, might be resting or cooking or walking. Yeah. So I think you need to find like your priorities and just make sure to make some time. And I also remember I once read a book and I really like it. And it said at some point you just also need to get it done and not make it perfect. So there's gonna be days where you don't need to like be the perfect. I'm not a mother, but cook like your kids the perfect meal and get to your job on time and do all your meetings and get your exercise. Maybe there's a day where you can just like get frozen pizza. I mean, it's okay. Like, just it doesn't need to be perfect every single time. Just find the priorities and get through the day and plan it and just get it done.
Don't let great get in the way of good.
You have to plan. You have to carve out time out of your busy schedule to take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you fall apart. Who's going to take care of everybody else? So meditation is an amazing tool, man. 10 minutes of meditation is like a 30-minute nap. I'm like, wow, what happened? And it just helps to just put everything to rest, because our minds, especially for the last 3 years, constantly going. So to put that in a back burner and just relax for 10 minutes and then connect back, and it's all good. So meditation, but it does take you making an agreement with yourself to make something good for yourself. Whatever, it could be reading, could be painting, could be cooking, whatever makes your body, mind, soul bloom, do it and do more of it. That's what I would say. Yeah. Do more of
I
it.
think there's an intense pressure to, especially at the world that so many people live in right now, on Instagram and TikTok and everything, that like, here's my perfect life and my adorable kids and my house is in a mess and there's not toys everywhere, and they can cook and they can do all this stuff. It's like nobody can do all that. It's not real. That world is not real, and I think the younger people need to realize that you can't. That's fantasy, and that's not everyday life. And you do have to do the best you can do, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay not to get everything on your list done that day. So I would say I think it's very stressful, especially for younger women. I think when you've got the latest and greatest of everything, that you should have, you should redecorate the house this way, or you should, I see this one woman who I know, and her kids look adorable. The house is perfect, and my girlfriend, I go, where are the toys? They must be on the other side of the room, because those 5-year-olds are not, like, there's nothing in that room.
They're not very neat, right?
They probably have their iPad.
Yeah.
They don't need toys anymore.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And so,
Or it could be like me. I have OCD, so my daughter throws things around and I just can't live in the same space. So I have to put everything back, and she's like complete opposite of me. She's like, oh, nice and clean again. Let's do this. So I have an OCD, so you won't find a toy in my house.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's a problem.
We've gotten rid of all
Yeah.
of them. Right?
they're there, but they're in a cubby somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Don't put it away.
I think I'm sort of smiling here because this has been very empowering to me too. So it's interesting to hear all this perspective.
No,
I
it's
would say
awesome.
that, like, for the women in this room, so Cal Flowers launched an advertising campaign. It's targeted at women, young women, and men too, that already are enjoying flowers. And COVID pushed the U.S. market naturally towards people enjoying flowers in their home. That campaign pokes fun at self-care.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. That flower.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Bravo to it.
It's awesome. Keep it up.
So we
It's just
really need
great.
to get the word out. And so if you, through your channels, like, share it with your friends, even we don't need to convince the industry that flowers do
Yeah,
great things.
exactly.
We need to convince all the folks out there that don't have wanted to do the face masks and the goat yoga and the coffee enemas and
Yeah, but the
all
goat
this.
yoga is so cute.
Yeah.
Right?
The-
I mean,
the
that's gotta be
green
No,
nice
I've
for
never
you.
done yoga with the goats.
Have
I think I should have that at next Whoopsa.
That would be great. SAF actually, they do yoga and SAF, so that'd be great. Yeah.
It's awesome. So again, thank you everybody for being here tonight.
That's
Today,
what I wanted to say. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
It's-
thank you very
Incredible.
much.
What an honor.
it's a pleasure. No, it's an honor to have you as well. You are leaders in the industry, and you are inspiring, and we truly hope that women were inspired today that we're watching. And this is the second annual, so I have a little surprise for you. I hope it's not too
We
corny.
love
But
surprises.
it's a New Bloom Women's Day hat
Oh,
version
wonderful.
hat. Right? So
And
so
it's white.
it's white.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
And it has
so
big-
sweet.
I hope you guys enjoy it.
May I ask a favor? That
Yes,
when
go
we're
ahead.
with Flourish, when we get all of our I's dotted and T's crossed, can we come back and talk to you?
Of
about
course you can.
Absolutely.
We're an open door policy. So anything we could do to help the industry, we are here. And I'd love to help
my
with
head
that
is so
flower feeding as well. I think
Oh,
we
yeah.
can do a lot of things as
Definitely.
well for you. But let me wrap this up. So everybody, thank you again. This was amazing. Thank you to Monet for joining us too. So let's all say thank you to Monet for joining us. We truly appreciate it. You guys look awesome with that.
Thanks.
Thank you so much
See,
for that.
women, they support right away. We
Yeah.
didn't even have to ask them. We're already on it.
So thank you so much for everybody joining. Stay tuned as we're at 4:45. We're having the marketing roundtable. We're looking forward to that with Steve Dion and others from Rio as well. Eric Fernandez as well. And who else is one last person is? Oscar Fernandez as well will be joining. So again, ladies, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for
hope-
coming.
Thank you
so much.
That was
Thank you.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.